Hi folks, welcome to Drew Code Sports Talk. I am your host, Andrew Wright. This sitting here next to me is Cody Johnson. Cody, how you doing?
Feeling pretty good.
Good? You don't sound good.
Allergies. California's bad around this time of year.
I was going to say, someone hurt their knee in basketball last week.
It went and it was a loud one too.
We played basketball and it didn't go so well for you.
I got crossover so bad my knee broke.
Anyway, alright. Enough fooling around. Enough clowning around. Some sad news.
Yes.
I told you I'd bring it up. I'm really sad because my favorite show was Priscilla and Canal. My wife is celebrating right now. She's so happy. But Priscilla and Canal, I don't know if anyone has heard all the ESPN cuts. Danny Canal was actually cut, and I'm really sorry to hear that. So Danny Canal, by the way off chance that you are watching this, I really appreciate you, and I appreciate Ryan and Priscilla, and I'm sad it almost sounds like they're not even going to have a radio station. But you guys were a big inspiration for me, so it does, it makes me sad, but it makes me want to do better and whatever. So anyway, I just wanted to start off with that I'm sad to see Ed Werder go too, which was surprising, and Jason Stark, who's been on ESPN forever too. So that was kind of sad to see. But something that I did see that was very interesting, CBS Sports actually reported a lot of Paul George's former teammates, specifically Danny Granger, actually has come out and talked about it a little bit, are saying that he really wants to go to the Los Angeles Lakers. Not a huge surprise,
right?
But he's going to be a free agent.
Yeah.
Do you think he goes to LA?
I think it depends on what LA's situation is. Now, again, this is if LA doesn't make some sort of trade this upcoming offseason, because he's still under one more year with the Pacers. Although, in my opinion, it was a little kind of touchy towards like the last game that Paul George was in with the Pacers and Larry Bird. I wouldn't be surprised if Paul George was moved this offseason, even though he's got one more year on his deal. And then I think it's a foregone conclusion that he's gone from Indiana. I don't think there's anything Indiana can do unless they literally bring two more superstars and give him a super team to make him stay in Indiana. I think Paul George is on his way out. As far as the Lakers, again, what I mean by I think it's just contingent on what they do this offseason. If they don't get a top 3 pick, it'll be really hard for them to make even a strong position come the next summer, because you don't know what other options that they have. I mean, this talent pool for the NBA draft is pretty shallow after about 15 picks. And, the nearest pick I think we would get if we did get a top 3 pick is I think 21 or 22, I think, somewhere around there. I think that's what the Houston Rockets pick would have been. So, you never know what you're going to get. We might find something. We might have to do a couple of deals. I wouldn't be surprised if we, package D'Angelo Russell with something else to get some talent back immediately. But we'll see. But if we do get a top 3 pick, or God willing, the number 1 pick, and if we get Lonzo Ball, then I think it's just a ticking time bomb that Paul George comes onto the team. Because, in my opinion, Ball would probably make everyone better around him, and it's an LA boy, it's an LA's kind of story, and then what better thing to do is next summer the superstar comes in and, saves the day.
Yeah.
However, though, I do think that the Lakers might want to watch out, though, and play their cards right this offseason, because Bruce Broussard on not only Undisputed, but on Speak For Yourself all week has even said that the LA Clippers could be another team that's in the running to get Paul George, because it's another LA team, and they're more developed as far as having Chris Paul. You've got Blake Griffin if you re-sign him. You've still got DeAndre Jordan there. So you've got some pieces there that would actually make that team better, especially if you add in Paul George, where the Lakers are probably about 2 to 3 years away, depending on what they do in free agency and the draft. So I definitely think Paul George is out. I think, in my opinion, this is kind of on the fence, but I think it's a 50-50 which LA team he goes to, just depending on how things roll.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's out of Indiana. There's no way he's coming back. You can hear it when he talks about his teammates. He kind of sounds like he's trying to distance himself a little bit without trying to basically say, I'm gone.
Right.
But he just sounds like he's trying to distance himself from everyone and is out of there. So I feel like he is going to be out. I feel like he wants to come to the Lakers more than the Clippers, and I understand the Clippers would be more appealing because he has come out and said that he wants to win. And if he wants to win, you leave Indiana and go to the Lakers, that's not great. So, the thinking that I've had is the Lakers are going to have to make some moves to show George that this is why you need to come to us.
Right.
You mentioned the Clippers because Chris Paul. I've heard a lot of rumblings that Chris Paul is a little annoyed now that he's been with the Clippers for this long and they've stayed at a standstill. They're not moving. They haven't gotten better. They haven't gotten worse. They haven't been the best team in the West, ever.
Right.
And so, to me, if I'm Chris Paul, he wanted to go to the Lakers in the first place. Ended up being with the Clippers. We all know how that ended with Stern.
Right.
And I'm not going to go into that because it's only going to make me mad. But it would be appealing if you can tell Chris Paul, listen, we're going to get Paul George over here, and we're also going to get someone else.
Right.
If you get Chris Paul and Paul George, I think that automatically makes them a contending team.
Right.
Now, does it make them a playoff team? I'm not going to say that yet, because they don't have a lot of depth, so that might change things. But we've been talking about grabbing DeMarcus Cousins. They have a lot of money. They can dump off a lot of these contracts that they have, and they could get a lot of these guys. Now, obviously, you're going to have to pay some guys out, so it doesn't just work magically where you drop someone like in a video game. You're free of charge.
Yeah.
You're still going to have to pay some of these guys for obviously letting them go. But you could potentially get a DeMarcus Cousins. You could potentially get a Paul George and a Chris Paul on the same team, and then you could trade away D'Angelo Russell and get an extra draft pick in this draft or even next year's draft.
Right.
And then you're making this team. You're getting the veterans in, the superstars in. You're making that big three.
Right.
That's been the popular thing, which would really sway Paul George to coming, and honestly would sway Chris Paul to come there. And then DeMarcus Cousins, I'm sure he would love to play in LA.
Right.
His brand would be even bigger. So I'm just saying these are a lot of hypotheticals, but I'm saying if the Lakers really want to prove to Paul George, hey, come to us, besides just Magic Johnson.
Right.
I think that's the way to go. Is you're going to have to get some other superstars, and you're going to have to show and prove to Paul George that, hey, this is for real.
Right. No, and the good thing is that he's young too. He's only 26. But I think what you're going to have on your hands is you're going to be. Paul George is basically a tall 2 or a very versatile 3. If you want to go small, you can even put him at the 4 because he's the same height as Julius Randle. And we don't have a tall team. Our tallest player is Zerbeck, who's 7'1". Other than that, we've got Tim Thompson, or Robertson, who's 6'11". And then after that, it's a bunch of 6'9s and 6'8s. We don't have anybody else. I mean, we've got an overly average tall point guard in D'Angelo Russell at 6'5", but then our backup point guard / 2 guard is also 6'5" in Jordan Clarkson. Then all of a sudden you get a good height jump when it comes to Brandon Ingram. Then Julius Randle is at the same height as Brandon Ingram. So we've got a really odd height of a team. So we have essentially, I'd imagine that if we wanted to go for someone like Cousins, and I even would say let's go after Okafor of Philadelphia, because I don't think that they're very big on him because they've already got Joel Embiid and they see what the potential is and they're willing to cut bait with him. So I think what Philadelphia would really want is a versatile point guard who can score, which I think Russell would fit that bill if we were going to cut bait with him. And I think we're going to end up losing 1 to 2 out of our three position players, such as Clarkson, Russell, and Ingram. I think Randall is safe. I'm just saying those 3. I don't see all 4 of them plus Russell. Or Cousins, Okafor, or Paul George on the same team. I think we're going to lose two of those players. Hopefully only one of them because we can keep some talent. But I think that's what it's going to take in order to free up some space. And I know that the 2 bad contracts are more so Mozgov and Dang. but no one's wanting to trade those players.
No.
Well, according to reports, maybe the Orlando Magic, because they had it on their big board for the offseason. I don't know if you saw that or not, but anyways, I don't know anybody that's going to be willing to take these bad contracts. We might even have to just do a payout and have to eat most of that money and then just do whatever with it. But I see that happening, but I think there's a lot of things that we need to show Paul George, that we can build this team around you to get it ready to go. And not only that, but have a supporting cast around him, because we have a lot of talent. We just have to figure out how to get it to be under control, and then get it to mature, and then hopefully, get it to grow from there. So, we'll see how it goes this offseason.
I wrote down some potential free agents this offseason at the center position. I have Greg Monroe, who is on Milwaukee right now, and I feel like Milwaukee will keep him because the way he is playing and the way they are playing in the playoffs. If you kind of mess with that chemistry, it might hurt you, especially a center who's a very good rim protector.
Right.
So I don't feel like Monroe is going to be gone from Milwaukee. Mason Plumlee, he could fit. He had a good year. I think he's going to want to test the market. He's going to want to go to a contender. He went from Portland to Denver, and we saw how that worked out for him.
Yeah.
I mean, that wasn't his choice. He was traded, but
not the greatest tryout for teams in the offseason.
Yeah.
So
Plumlee. I don't think he's going to stay in Denver. He's good. He could be a really good backup if the Lakers want to get some depth. I think he could be really good, but I think he's going to be a little more expensive than what they think. I wrote down Nerlens Noel. Now you're a lot higher on him than I am.
Yeah.
To me, he's a good rebounder and he's a defender, and that's all you're going to get out of him. If you can get another guy, like you can get a starter, maybe possibly in the draft,
Right.
Or if not in the draft, maybe you can get a DeMarcus Cousins. I mean, that would be great.
Right.
That would be the best thing for them.
Right.
But if you get someone like that, then Nerlens Noel could be a good fit. But I don't think he's that great of a player. He's not going to be a starter. If you have him as your starter, if I'm Paul George, I'm going, okay, well, we better have a better look for the Lakers next year.
Right.
If Nerlens Noel is your starting center. My favorite on this list, there's Kelly Olynyk and Zaza Pachulia as well. Zaza Pachulia, I don't think he's going to ever fit for the Lakers, and I don't think he wants to go to the Lakers. I don't think the Lakers want him.
Yeah, but all intents and purposes, he'll be available this offseason.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that would be last resort for me. But Kelly Olynyk, he really, to me, would fit the Lakers, and the reason being is we don't really have, we've always gone with the Shaq centers. Ever since Shaq, we always try and get these centers who,
play low post.
Yeah. We have Andrew Bynum, who in his heyday was great, and he really did well for us. When he left, it was basically Pau Gasol. Now, Gasol was really nice because he could shoot, and he started extending his range more and more as he was in LA. If you get a Kelly Olynyk, he has already developed that. So he's not going to be in a learning curve. He's already developed his game. He can shoot a three every now and then.
Right.
He can shoot a long two, so he spreads the floor just like that.
Right.
He's a good defender. He's a guy who's going to be a nit and gritty kind of guy, who's going to dig down in the dirt and go after balls. He's going to, if you have to make a hard foul, he'll do it.
Right.
So that's why I really like Kevin
too while he's at it.
Yeah, Kevin Love knows that. The only thing I see that's going to be bad for him is I'm not sure Kelly Olynyk is a guy who really makes you think of, oh man, this team is for real.
Right.
Because he doesn't have that name value. But I also don't feel like Boston's going to let him go. I feel like they like him better than, well, I mean, they've been using Al Horford, but I think they really like Kelly Olynyk, and he's been a really nice role player for them. I think the Boston is definitely going to try and hang on to him.
I think so too. To just touch on your list of centers here, I wouldn't be surprised if the Lakers did make a play for Plumlee, just because he's got some height on him, and he's probably extremely talented. He did really well in Portland before he was traded, so you never know what's left there. And plus, we've got Zubek, so I'm not saying, and Zubek did show some really good flashes towards the end of the season, so you give him an offseason and especially whatever the Lakers personnel is to kind of get him some more, some more low post experience, because he's a good shooter. It's just when you get him down low, is get him that post game going. So who knows? Plumlee might be a good little plug-in just to get him some time off and to see how that goes. Olynyk, I agree with you. I don't think Boston's going to let him go. He's too important to that young core, especially with Isaiah Thomas. Whoever they draft coming up in this year's draft is going to also help them with scoring and production, because it's not coming from Marcus Smart because he's more offensive. And Avery Bradley, he's good offensively, but he's not second best to Thomas.
He'd be a better 6-man guy in my opinion. Sorry.
No, I agree. 6-man and then a defensive specialist.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he'd fit really well there. As Zaza Pachulia, I don't think he's going over to the Lakers. I wouldn't even be surprised if he re-signs with the Warriors for another mid-contract or a minimum contract, just so that way they could repeat if they do win or if they don't win, whatever. I honestly think that Noel is probably the best bet, and here's why. I am very high on him.
I knew he was going to say.
Because, in Dallas, he underachieved, and I think that was because I don't want to say there's too much talent, but there's too many places to put the ball where Noel couldn't flourish. And I think he is a good defender, and he'll get you those rebounds, and he could be a double-double, and I'm not talking like a 20 and 15. I'm more like a 14 and 10. I think he can be that kind of player, a very productive player. If we got him, he would be a great backup for Randall. Or even if you put him at the center, it'd be a great addition, especially if you're going to go small ball, which is what most of the league is now doing, because he doesn't have as good as range as Kelly Olynyk, but he can definitely shoot the ball and he can get inside. He's very quick off the dribble, and that surprises a lot of people about his ball handling and his dribbling. And he can just get in there into the post if he has to, and he's very lengthy. I would only just like to see him get a little bit bigger and a little bit stronger, but I think he would be a great addition. But I think it's also because he showed some great promise in the Sixers, and he got traded to Dallas, and for some reason he didn't shine in Dallas, which I was surprised. I was thinking he would blow up, and he never got there. And maybe he didn't get enough opportunities, or maybe his ceiling is here, and that's where he's already at a ceiling. He's not going to get any better, but I would still like to make a play for him as a role player or off the bench. I wouldn't be surprised if he could be, somewhat of a 6th man coming off the bench, because he can get you that low post, those rebounds, and he could help you spread the floor, but he's not a starter. I would just think he's a come off the bench and make a good spark and change the pace kind of a thing. So, but I really like Noel's.
I know you like Noel. I'm not as high on him as you are, like I said. Mm-hmm. He is more aggressive than I think Zubac is. Zubac is kind of, I don't know, he's still learning, so I'm not going to say, he's terrible, mm-hmm. but I'm not as excited as I would be if we got Noel. I'd rather have Noel than Zubac. Mm-hmm. But I think Zubac, now I got that name in my head, Noel, I think the reason he underachieved in Dallas is, I don't even think he underachieved, I think he did what they wanted him to do. Was, hey, you're going to be the rebound guy. Dirk is going to take the shots. Mm-hmm. We have Harrison Barnes. We kind of like him. Seth Curry kind of came into his own this year. And then Wes Matthews, he did really well this year. So yes, I feel like Dallas just said, Noel, listen, we get you want to get your points up, but that's not your job here. Mm-hmm. So I feel like he will probably leave Dallas, because I think he'll want to be a bigger part of an offense. Right. So I do think the Lakers would have a chance, but I feel like the Lakers should do the same exact thing that Dallas did. Was, hey, listen, we need you as a rebound guy, as a rim protector. Mm-hmm. You can take a few shots, but listen, it's not going to be about you, because especially if you're trying to get Paul George. Nerlens Noel is not going to tell Paul, the Lakers are for real. It's going to tell him, okay, we're getting more depth. Right. So that's what I see him as. But to answer basically the initial question, mm-hmm. I really want Paul George. I feel like the Lakers do have an opportunity to make moves to get him. Right. They just have to do it. Yeah. No, it just depends on what Magic Johnson's going to do. He's said it already that he wants to go after another superstar this offseason, whoever that might be. So
I'm actually I'll be really relieved and really happy once we get the bad contracts of Dang and Mozgov off our hands. Then I'll be really happy because then you can do, I think a lot more players in free agency will be happy to come to LA, especially with Magic Johnson running the helm. And as long as they have the cap money to do it. But as long as you've got nearly $200 million tied up in two players you basically shut down at, you know, the last third of the season, I think is where, you know, you want to make sure that you have that money freed up for Paul George or for whatever player that could bring value to any team, you know. So
yeah, I'll say one more thing. I've been thinking about who the Lakers could get. Mm-hmm. They have a potential to get DeMarcus Cousins. I'm not saying all of these guys. I'm just saying they could get at least one of these guys. We'll say Paul George, DeMarcus Cousins, Chris Paul, Carmelo Anthony. Yeah, I know, but Anthony is actually going through, I guess he cheated on his wife, and I think they're splitting up.
That's a lot of
so
there.
There might actually be, and I know everyone's like, come on, why would you bring that up? But I bring it up because it could mean that he wants to get out of New York, because obviously Phil Jackson wants him gone.
Oh yeah.
So why not go to a big market, to a team that is in need, and that really wants you, and will probably overpay for you?
I just think that it will hurt Ingram and Randall because Carmelo Anthony is about, again, I always equate the height, and the reason why is because, in my opinion, size does matter at certain positions. And you're essentially going to put Ingram either on the bench or at the 2, which he's more comfortable as a 3, to put Carmelo in as the 3, and then you've got Randall who's the same height as the 4, so it's going to look really, really small squad. And so I would really like to see Cousins. I think he would be a great piece, and I would not be opposed to letting the Pelicans have D'Angelo Russell or you know, maybe even giving them Clarkson. They might want Clarkson more, and then we get to bring over Cousins and maybe like a first or second round draft pick the following year. I would like to see Cousins on the team. I think he would make us better, and then especially if we have Ball. Then Paul George would be like, they've got Cousins, they've got Ball, they've got, you know, Ingram if he's still there. They've got a team that is really prepared and really strong. Yeah, I'm ready to come home to LA. So,
one thing I will say about, you know, you said that Ingram is more comfortable in the 3. Something that I've heard from NBA, you know, enthusiasts or NBA analysts or whatever. If you're looking at the 2, 3, and 4 position, I'm not trying to take you down here, so no, sorry. But what I heard is, if you can play, it doesn't matter where you're going to play, it means you can play. So I'm actually not as worried as if you got like a Paul George, if you got like a Carmelo Anthony. If you have to move Ingram to a 2, it's not going to be a big deal. Now, it's a little bit bigger of a deal if you're moving like a 1 to a 3. That's way overblown. But from 2 to the 4 positions, you can swap those guys around if you have the height, and also if you can play. So yeah. I wouldn't be too worried about that.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for joining us. Please follow us on subscribe to our YouTube channel, but please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. It is all Drew Code Sports Talk. We appreciate all you watching. Thank you.